BAS Bootcamp, Day 1. The boss style. Buckle up, baby girl. Chaos is our co-pilot. Title: BAS 101. From the driver's seat of a Niagara 4 supercharged airbagged Impala. The boss. Intro. Chaos mode, BAS. We ain't talking about no fancy latte. Welcome to day 1 of BAS Bootcamp, y'all. We about to take building automation and rip the mufflers off it? We ain't doing no once upon a time. This is street level education with chaos at level 10. Meet the BAS Pit Crew, aka the chicas of Niagara 4, Leah G, the input queen seat, front passenger, kicking it with the Temp sensor toolkit and double fisting eat me cakes and calibration wands. Roll, like your building's thermostat's sixth sense. She feeds data to the controller like Alice feeds curiosity to Wonderland. Miriam McKay, output commander seat, rear right, next to the air damper schematics and a jar labeled Queen of Hearts emergency valve butter. Roll, when she talks, things move. She controls relays, dampers, fans, you name it. She don't press buttons, she rewires reality. Sky B, field trunk whisperer seat, back center, surrounded by spaghetti wire. BACnet MSTP and sipping drink me potion while shouting at loose packets. Roll, the one who connects the dots. She's the chaos router if Niagara 4's the brain, she's the nervous system with Wi-Fi rage issues. The Tweedle twins, Tweedle Lady Z and Tweedle Sandra Z, supervisory sorceress's seat, in the trunk, baby. With 12 laptops, 4 JASes, and a hologram of Tritium's open platform network spinning above their heads. Roll, the ones who pull the strings on the Impala's digital soul. They ain't supervisors. They're data alchemists. The building automation system, like an airbagged Impala. Now listen, this BAS thing? Think of it like this: Impala, controllers equals airbags. Pop M when you need control inputs and outputs tucked inside. Field trunks equals compressed air lines. Fast, invisible, but critical. If one leaks, Sky B loses her mind. Supervisory devices equals supercharger ECU. Without M, you got power but no way to harness it. Niagara 4 framework equals the whole freaking ECU system. It runs the show, sugar. From alarms to analytics, it's Alice's map through the networked Wonderland. BAS history: chaos time travel warp before Niagara 4? Oh, it was dusty and crusty. Let's race through. Thermostats, day 1 dumb mode, metal curls from heat equals something turns on. No brains, no glory. Pneumatics, airbagged analog madness. Imagine trying to drift this Impala using air pressure. That was old school. Solenoids and air regulators doing the two-step. DDC, direct digital control, enter the queen of logic, boom. We got controllers with microprocessors. Code in, building response. You could finally say, yo, open that damper at 75° F without yelling through a duct. Supervisory devices, JAS party in the trunk, took all that controller data and lit it up on a screen. Game changer. Like having a HUD in the windshield instead of reading gauges by flashlight. Web-based interfaces, thin client equals slick operator. Today, you can control a building from your beach chair, just don't let Sky be near the router. Key terms: Alice-in-Wonderland style. Term Wonderland analogy. Inputs: Leah G's tea party invites. Outputs: Miriam's tea kettle whistle. Controllers: Mad Hatter's pocket watch, timing everything. Field trunks: the White Rabbit's tunnel. Supervisory device: the Cheshire Cat's map to chaos. Niagara 4: the Queen's rulebook, but open source. JJ's rules of BAS road racing. Don't call a controller a thermostat. That's like calling the Jabberwock bunny. BACnet ain't a flavor. It's a language. Speak it or Sky B fries the router. Every sensor lies. Until calibrated by Leah G. If it ain't logged, it ain't happened. Miriam writes it down after the building chills. Chaos is good, control is better. Welcome to BAS. Closing thoughts: access denied ain't a stop sign tomorrow, we dive into inputs and outputs live from the control wall of doom. For now, remember, this Impala runs on compressed air, Niagara logic, and controlled chaos. Ask questions in the comments below. Sky B might answer. Or not. Depends if she's fighting a rogue BACnet device. The boss outro: keep your field trunks clean, your JASes updated, and your chicas well fed. Cause when the controller crashes at 3 AM, it's always Sky B's fault. Catch y'all on day 2 when we open the hood on input types like it's a Mad Hatter Tea Party gone digital. Access denied. Nah, just push harder on that firewall. End scene. Alice in Automation Land, Episode 6, The Mad Programmer's Tea Party. One ordinary afternoon, Alice was chasing the White Rabbit, who kept muttering about latency issues, when she tumbled down a server rack into the strangest control room in Wonderland. The walls were covered in blinking Niagara 4 dashboards shaped like playing cards, and the Mad Hatter was screaming at a BACnet MSTP loop that kept changing addresses like the Cheshire Cat playing hide and seek. "Oh my ears and whiskers," cried the White Rabbit, adjusting his tiny subnet mask. "We're late for the setpoint adjustment." His pocket watch, which only displayed error 404, kept spinning wildly. The input/output garden. Alice found herself in a garden where the flowers argued about sensor calibrations. The red rose: "Leah G, I'm a perfect 10V analog input." "No, wait, I'm a 4-20 ma now." Her petals kept changing colors like Miriam Makay's writable float. The daisies, Tweedledee and Tweedledum, debating whether a normally open contact was actually closed. "It's open." "No, it's closed." They threw logic gates at each other. The caterpillar, smoking a PID loop tuning curve, blowing smoke rings that formed gain too high before vanishing with a poof. Alice wondered, how do you know which input does what? The Cheshire Cat's grin appeared on a server rack. "That depends on whether you want to stay in Wonderland, or get locked out by the Queen of IT." His tail flickered like a failing network connection. The Mad Programmer's Tea Party at a long table piled with Eat Me cookies, labeled firmware updates. The Mad Hatter, the boss, was force-feeding logic blocks to the dormouse. "March Hare, why is a raven like a writing desk?" "Mad Hatter, why is Sky B's digital output always stuck on? Off. On. Off." He smashed his broken BACnet stopwatch with a hammer. Dormouse, sleepily connected and blocked to an OR block and accidentally turned all the lights in Wonderland into a disco strobe. The Queen's guards started dancing. Alice tried to help by dragging a comparator block onto the table, but it grew to 10 feet tall and started comparing her height to the Queen's temper. "Too tall. Too small," it screeched, flashing red alarms. The Queen of its croquet game, the Queen, IT director, bellowed, "Off with their ports," as playing cards painted firewall rules on roses with trembling brushes. "Ace of spades, port 47808 shall remain closed." "Two of hearts, but BACnet needs that port," wailed Alice. "Queen, you shall not pass. Unless you fill out Form 394B in triplicate and sacrifice a flamingo." The Griffin, a rogue IT admin, whispered, "Just VPN in and pretend you're the White Rabbit. They'll never notice." He winked one glowing, pixelated eye. The trial of the Knave of Points. The Knave, a rogue setpoint, was accused of changing values without permission. The courtroom was pure chaos. The cook threw pepper, network latency, into the jury box, making everyone sneeze packets everywhere. The Mock Turtle sobbed into his shell about losing his analog signal in a digital world. "I used to be so smooth." "Alice, but how do you program anything here?" The King, a legacy BACnet device covered in cobwebs, wheezed, "Begin at the beginning, and go until you come to the end. Then, reboot." His crown was a tangled mess of RS-485 wires. Alice's revelation: she ate a mushroom labeled "Eat Me" for admin rights and shrank small enough to crawl into a controller. Inside, she saw, the White Rabbit's tunnels equals field trunks buzzing with data. The Caterpillar's smoke rings equals alarm notifications no one read. The Queen's croquet mallets equals its firewall rules, swinging wildly. So programming is just connecting hungry caterpillars to angry queens. Alice realized. The Cheshire Cat's grin floated in the void, now you're getting it. Just don't let Sky be near the bang. The Impala supercharger backfired, and Alice woke up at her desk, clutching a drink me potion labeled emergency coffee. The end. The Dormouse snores, syntax error. Please recalibrate. Moral, in Wonderland and BAS programming, if you're not confused, you're not paying attention. P.S. The Red Queen still thinks all alarms should be off with their heads, priority. The Tweedle twins are now arguing over IPv6. Next episode, PID loops and the Jabberwocky of override commands, bring a flamingo, screeched the White Rabbit as he vanished into a cloud of DNS errors. Next topic. BAS Bootcamp, Day 2, Inputs with the boss. If outputs are what you do. Inputs are how you know when to do it. The boss here and today, we ain't slammin' the throttle, we're lettin' the sensors do the talkin'. Day 2 is all about inputs, the nervous system of the BAS beast. This ain't no guessing game, this is how Niagara 4 talks BACnet with the world. Roll call in the compressed air supercharger Impala Leah G, glovebox navigation command, watch in the temp sensors and motion triggers. If something breathes or sweats in the building, Leah sees it. Miriam McKay, rear left coilover mount, she handles analog sensors smoother than the airbag controller balancing ride height. Pressure, humidity, airflow. She hears it all. Sky B, passenger dash vent, catches all those dry contacts and status switches. Like the oil pressure light, always watching, rarely chill. Tweedle Lady Z and Tweedle Sandra Z, hood-mounted control relay bracket, keeping eyes on binary inputs like door switches, smoke detectors, or anything that goes on or off. They may be twins, but their chaos is double trouble. Inputs, what the system feels before it reacts. Think of your inputs like the sensors in our bagged Impala. They don't do anything directly, they sense everything. They're the eyes, ears, and nose of the whole operation. Let's break down the 4 chaos-powered input types: binary inputs, digital inputs, it's either on or off. Ain't no in-between. Like that airbag dump switch. Either you're slammed to the pavement or riding high. Example, door contact switch, fire alarm signal, fan status. JJ tip, if a binary input's acting weird, it's like your trunk sensor going off when the trunk's shut. Check your wiring or tell the Tweedle twins to stop slamming it. Analog inputs, these read a range of values, think smooth airflow or varying temperature. Just like Miriam adjusting ride height by tiny side tweaks in the airbag system. Example, temp sensors, 0, 10 V, code 2 sensors, 4, 20 mA, humidity sensors. JJ tip, always check if the signal is voltage or current. Cross those and you'll get a reading as bogus as Sky B's playlist. Resistive inputs, these inputs deal with resistance like them 10K thermistors. As temp rises, resistance drops. As temp drops, resistance rises. It's like the back pressure in your turbo line, it tells the truth even when the gauge lies. JJ tip, get the sensor type right or your values'll read like you're driving through a mirage in the desert. Pulse inputs, these bad boys count things. Water meter? Electric meter? It clicks every time it sees flow like Miriam a tap in the dash when JJ don't shift fast enough. Used for tracking energy use or runtime. JJ tip, don't just read the pulse, make sure your system is timing it. No sense tracking water if you ain't measuring gallons per minute, baby. Common chaos, what you need to know: you better know if all these sensors are using the same common or you'll fry your BAS brain faster than a bad relay box in a lightning storm. Shared common, same transformer, it's like all your chicas drinking from the same nitrous tank. Risky, but quick. If one shorts, it can take the whole controller with it. Isolated commons, separate transformers, each chica got her own supply. If one sensor blows, controller keeps cruising. JJ's rule? Always isolate for high-value rides. JJ's input tuning pit stop label every sensor wire. The Tweedle twins are chaos, not mind readers. Match signal types. 10V to 10V. 4, 20 mA to 4, 20 mA. No mixin' like a slushy machine. Shield analog sensor cables. Noise gets in easier than rumors in a pit crew. Check sensor ranges. If your temp sensor reads 0 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, don't push 150 degrees Fahrenheit through it unless you want the fire marshal involved. Niagara 4 hookup checklist, JJ style, sensor signal type. Transformer power. Common, shared or isolated. Terminated correctly in Niagara 4 points list. Point tags make sense. No naming your temp sensor. Sky's weird elbow reading, logs working. BACnet point exposed. The BAS wrap-up inputs are like the senses of our Niagara 4 beast. When they talk, we listen. Whether it's a damper cracking open or a chiller about to go Hulk mode, it all starts with what the system sees, hears, and touches. Tomorrow, day 3, we talk outputs, baby. When the system stops feeling and starts doing. Until then, ride low, think high, and let your sensors sniff out the truth. Chaos level 10, all systems go. End scene. Alice in Automation Land, Episode 2, The Sensor Tea Party. One curious afternoon, Alice found herself in the strangest garden she'd ever seen, where the flowers were actually sensors arguing about their readings. "Oh my volts and ohms," cried the white rabbit, adjusting his tiny multimeter. "We're late for calibration." His pocket watch now showed error, signal lost in flashing red letters. The garden of sensing nonsense. Alice wandered through rows of chattering sensor flowers. The red rose, "Leah G, I'm reading 72 degrees Fahrenheit. No wait, 68 degrees Fahrenheit. 75 degree F. Her petals kept changing colors with each new temperature reading. The daisies, Tweedledee and Tweedledum, arguing over whether their contact was normally open or normally closed. They kept flipping a tiny switch back and forth so fast it sparked. The caterpillar, smoking a calibration curve that made the garden lights flicker. "One side makes you read high, the other makes you read low," he murmured between puffs. Alice wondered, how does anyone know what's really happening? The Cheshire Cat's grin appeared on a control panel. "That depends on whether you trust your sensors, or the Mad Hatter's programming." His tail flickered like a loose connection. The Mad Hatter's input tea party, at a long table piled with Eat Me cookies, labeled calibration tools. The strangest tea party was underway. "March Hare, why is a temperature sensor like a writing desk? Mad Hatter, why does this 4-20 mA signal keep jumping to 22? He dunked a flow sensor in his tea, making the table lights dim. Dormouse sleepily connected a 10V sensor to a 24V input and caused all the garden sprinklers to turn on at once. Alice tried to adjust a potentiometer, but it grew to the size of a steering wheel and started spinning wildly. "Too high? Too low," it screamed as valves opened and closed randomly. The queen of sensors croquet game, the queen, IT director, bellowed, "Off with their wiring," as playing cards scrambled to fix misconnected sensors. "Ace of spades, this RTD needs 3 wires, not 2. 2 of hearts, but the terminal block only has 2 spots, cried Alice. "Queen, you shall have neither. Unless you fill out Form 394B in triplicate and sacrifice a voltmeter." The Griffin, rogue technician, whispered, "Just use a resistor and pretend you meant to do that." He winked and vanished in a puff of smoke. The trial of the jumpy thermistor, the knave, a faulty temperature sensor, was accused of giving random readings. The courtroom was chaos. The cook threw wire nuts at the jury, shocking everyone. The Mock Turtle, sobbed about how simple old mercury thermometers used to be. Alice, but how do you fix it? The king, an old pneumatic thermostat, wheezed, first check the resistance, then check the wiring, and if all else fails, percussive maintenance. He banged his gavel, which was actually a pipe wrench. Alice's revelation: she nibbled a mushroom labeled "Eat Me" for sensor logic and shrank small enough to ride an electron through the wires. Inside the system she saw, the white rabbit's tunnels equals conduits buzzing with signals. The caterpillar's smoke rings equals electrical interference. The queen's mallets equals overvoltage protectors ready to strike. Sensors are just storytellers. Alice realized. The Cheshire Cat's grin appeared on a terminal block. Now you're getting it. Just don't let bang. A sensor exploded, and Alice woke up at her desk holding a burnt resistor and a note that said "Blame the Tweedle twins." The end. The dormouse snores, signal lost. Please recalibrate. Moral: in Wonderland and BAS inputs, if your readings make perfect sense, you're probably dreaming. P.S. The Red Queen now demands all sensors be painted red. The Tweedle twins are arguing over 3-wire vs 4-wire RTDs. Next episode, Output Wars, the relays strike back. Bring a multimeter, shouted the White Rabbit as he disappeared into a conduit. Next topic. Fire BAS Bootcamp, Day 3, the BAS style fire outputs. We make stuff happen. Microphone the boss here, riding shotgun yo. Yesterday, we talked inputs, what your BAS feels. Today, we're talking outputs, what your BAS does to the world. Outputs are like the Impala's NOS system. Once you hit M right, you're flying automobile. Who's who in the output seat? Miriam McKay, rear right seat, the output queen, the one who makes things move. Think of her like the airbag system that decides when to pop or stay chill. She commands actuators, relays, valves, dampers, you name it. Leah G, front passenger, double checks the signal before it gets real, like monitoring airbag pressure to make sure the pop is just right. Sky B, back center, watching the output field trunks, making sure signals get where they need without causing a meltdown. Tweedle Lady Z and Tweedle Sandra Z, trunk command center, supervising the whole digital relay dance like the supercharger ECU running the show. Fire outputs 101, the 4 types of chaos outputs ain't just one thing, they're 4 kinds of beast. Internally sourced digital outputs, these babies switch internally inside your controller like the airbag safety lock flipping on or off. Use them for simple on/off stuff like turning lights or fans. Externally sourced digital outputs like letting a relay in a box handle the heavy lifting, think of it as the Impala's external NOS tank. Safer for the controller because if a surge hits, it's the relay tank that blows, not your whole engine. Voltage outputs, these give a steady juice like 0 to 10 VDC to an actuator, telling it how much to open or close. Imagine Miriam gently pressing the throttle instead of slamming it. Amperage outputs, these are all about current flow, pushing power to bigger loads. Like when you stomp on the gas pedal and that supercharger kicks in full force. High voltage relay outputs vs universal outputs. Relay outputs, built-in relays inside your controller. They open/close circuits like the Impala's airbag valves. But heads up if a voltage surge hits. Controller melts like the Queen of Hearts temper. Relay in a box, rib a $10 relay out there in the field that takes the hit for you. You blow the relay, swap it quick, and your $600 controller stays safe. Smart move, right? Light bulb, the actuator BAS's muscle car part and actuators like the Impala's throttle cable. You send it a 0 to 10 volt DC signal, and it moves valves or dampers smoothly. Digital actuators? Just open or closed like a garage door, up or down. Floating actuators? Use 2 signals to get in between open and closed like you easing on the brake. Counterclockwise arrows button shared commons where the power flows. Here's a quick spin on shared commons. The controller and I/O devices can share the same power common, but it's a gamble. Better. Separate transformers for your controller and I/O devices. That way, if one gets a surge, it's like the Impala losing a tire, not the whole engine. Fuse protected transformers equals your pit crew's safety net. Blow a fuse, swap it, and keep rollin'. Warning: JJ's output tips for avoiding smoke shows: don't run voltage higher than your relay contacts can handle, or you'll fry that relay like a Queen of Hearts flamingo. Use relay in a box for anything heavy, cheap insurance for expensive gear. Know your outputs: digital, voltage, or current, and match 'em like tires to road. Separate your power supplies, don't put all your volts in one basket. Fire final chaos note: tomorrow we're diving headfirst into electrical fundamentals, current, voltage, amps, and all that jazz, so you can speak fluent BAS electricity and keep your Impala burning rubber instead of blowing fuses. Microphone the boss outro: keep your outputs clean, your relay boxes cheaper than your coffee, and your chicas fueled on chaos and precision. Remember, when outputs go right, you're the king of the BAS road. When they don't, well, blame Sky B or the Tweedle twins. Catch you on day 4, fam. End scene. Alice in Automation Land, Episode 3, The Mad Output Tea Party. One curious morning, Alice found herself at the Queen of Hearts croquet grounds, except instead of flamingos and hedgehogs, everything was made of relays and actuators. The White Rabbit, now wearing a tool belt, was frantically checking his pocket watch, which only showed error, output failure. "Oh, my relays and actuators," he squeaked. "We're late for the voltage adjustment." The garden of outputs. Alice wandered through a strange garden where flowers argued about control signals. The red rose, Miriam McKay: "I'm a perfect 0-10V signal." "No, wait, I'm a PWM now." Her petals kept changing between analog and digital. The daisies, Tweedledee and Tweedledum, debating whether a relay should be normally open or normally closed. They kept flipping a switch back and forth so fast it started smoking. The caterpillar, smoking a PID loop curve while sitting on a mushroom labeled gain settings. Each puff made the garden lights dim and brighten randomly. Alice wondered, how do you know which output does what? The Cheshire Cat's grin appeared on a control panel. "That depends on whether you want to control the garden, or let the garden control you." His tail flickered like a bad connection. To the Mad Hatter's output tea party at a long table piled with Eat Me cookies, labeled firmware updates, the Mad Hatter, the boss, was forcing everyone to test outputs. "March Hare, why is a relay like a writing desk?" "Mad Hatter, why does Sky B's actuator keep getting stuck?" He smashed a butter knife, labeled calibration tool, against a jammed damper. Dormouse, sleepily connected a 24V output to a 120V actuator and caused all the sprinklers in Wonderland to turn on at once. Alice tried to help by adjusting a potentiometer, but it grew to the size of a steering wheel and started spinning wildly. "Too much. Too little," it screamed as valves opened and closed randomly. 3. The Queen of Outputs croquet game. The Queen, IT director, bellowed, "Off with their wiring," as playing cards scrambled to fix miswired outputs. Ace of spades, this rib needs 24V, not 120V. 2 of hearts, but the actuator wants 120V, cried Alice. "Queen, you shall have neither. Unless you fill out Form 394C in quadruplicate and sacrifice a voltage meter." The Griffin, rogue electrician, whispered, "Just use a relay in a box and pretend you meant to do that." He winked and vanished in a puff of smoke. For the trial of the jammed actuator, the Knave, a stuck damper, was accused of not moving when commanded. The courtroom was chaos. The cook threw wire nuts, labeled spare parts, at the jury, shocking everyone. The Mock Turtle sobbed about how analog signals used to be simpler in his day. "Alice, but how do you fix it?" The King, an old pneumatic controller, wheezed, "First find the common, then check the signal, and if all else fails, percussive maintenance." He banged his gavel, which was actually a pipe wrench. 5. Alice's revelation: she drank from a bottle labeled "Drink Me," output calibration, and shrank small enough to ride on an electron through the wires. Inside the system she saw, the white rabbit's tunnels equals conduits buzzing with current, the caterpillar's smoke rings equals signal interference, the queen's mallets equals overcurrent protectors waiting to strike, outputs are just angry inputs. Alice realized. The Cheshire Cat's grin appeared on a relay panel. Now you're getting it. Just don't let bang. A relay exploded, and Alice woke up at her desk holding a fried fuse and a note that said "Blame Skyby." The end. The Dormouse snores, circuit overload. Please reset. Moral: in Wonderland and BAS outputs, if you're not confused, you haven't tried wiring anything yet. P.S. The Red Queen now demands all actuators be painted red. The Tweedle twins are arguing over syncing versus sourcing. High voltage next episode: current wars, the volts strike back, bring a multimeter, shouted the White Rabbit as he disappeared into a wire conduit. Next topic. BAS Bootcamp, Day 4. Transformers and Circuits. BAS Bootcamp, Day 4, Transformers and Circuits, the BAS style. We ain't just tin wrenches, baby, we crankin' volts, spit in sparks, and ride in low on dat BACnet bus. Location: inside the airbagged, compressed air supercharged Niagara 4 Impala, Chaos Level 10, where relays snap harder than a burnout launch. Welcome to the circuit jungle, strap in. The boss here, and listen up. We ain't talkin' horsepower today, we talkin' about transformers, circuits, and the juice that powers up every crazy BACnet enabled idea y'all got from here to the rooftop chiller. Forget boring books. We break it down like this: Impala system, full boost, full bounce, and zero confusion. Meet the chicas in the Impala supercharger pit. Leah G rides shotgun on the glovebox relay rack, runs the main fuse tap. She monitors voltage smoother than a DJ with auto-tune. Miriam McKay, mounted in the rear wheel well behind the left air tank, she regulates incoming power like she's balancing ride height with psi sensors. Sky B, perched in the passenger A-pillar, always tracking signal direction and polarity. Polarity flips. She flips the switch. Tweedle Lady Z and Tweedle Sandra Z, stashed in the center console circuit box, these chaotic twins control your relays and coils like it's a Friday night dance-off between normally open and normally closed. Transformers, where power gets customized, baby, just like how this Impala don't run full boost all the time. Transformers step down high voltage so the sensitive Niagara 4 chicas don't fry like bacon. Transformer breakdown: primary side equals where the voltage enters, usually 120 VAC, sometimes 480 V if you like living dangerously. Secondary side equals where it comes out, dropped down to 24 VAC, safe and ready to power our Niagara 4 controllers. Red wire equals hot, black wire equals common. These wires run from transformer to controller like nitrous lines, precise, deadly, and only go in one way. AC vs DC, what you ride in. AC, alternating current, equals like an air suspension pump pulsing up and down. Flips polarity constantly. DC, direct current, equals straight line like JJ's burnout marks, no switch insides. We deal mostly in 24 VAC because it's chill. But remember, AC don't care about plus or, until polarity comes into play later with circuits and devices. Circuits, the electrical loop-to-loop. Let's say your transformer's sending out 24 V. That hot wire feeds the controller, and the common brings it back. That loop is a circuit, and if that loop breaks, so long, signal. You're dead in the water like a slammed Impala with no tank pressure. Relays, the secret sauce. Relays are how we command power without burning up our controllers. Imagine Sky B flicks a switch in the A-pillar. That sends 24 V from the controller to energize a coil in a relay. That coil, it pulls contacts together like magnets at a bass drop. Suddenly, your fan or pump kicks in, even if it needs 120 V. That's electrical isolation, baby. The controller ain't directly touchin' that high voltage, just tellin' the relay what to do. Normally open vs normally closed, normally open, no like a garage door. Stays shut till you tell it otherwise. Normally closed, NC always ready to go unless you cut the signal. When the relay coil energizes. Boom. Door closes, or opens, dependin' on setup, your pump spins up like Miriam a flickin' air ride from slam to lift kit mode. Why this matters, aka don't cook your controller. If you run 120V through a contact rated for 24V, you're gonna have a full-on electrical barbecue inside that box. Use relays for big voltage. Let the controller whisper, not shout. JJ's transformer and relay checklist: transformer rated properly for your input voltage, secondary side pushing out 24V AC, red equals hot, black equals common circuits complete, no breaks or ground loops. Relays rated for the voltage you switching controller output stay within their voltage rating, keep the Tweedle twins away from exposed wire ends. Ask me how I know. Quick recap: JJ style transformers step voltage down from 120V to 24V. Circuits carry power in a loop. Break the loop, break the flow. Relays equals voltage bodyguards. Let your controller flip contacts without taking the hit. Always match your voltage. Don't mix 120V with 24V gear unless you want smoke signals. Closing from JJ y'all, we just cracked open the hood on power delivery in BAS like we was tuning nitrous timing on race day. If your circuits ain't complete and your relays ain't clickin', you ain't running systems, you just wiring art projects. Tomorrow we go deeper: resistance, Ohm's law, and how current, voltage, and resistance dance like lowriders at a hop contest. Until then, keep it grounded. Keep it bouncin'. Chaos level 10 forever. End scene. Alice's electrifying adventure in Wonderland. One sunny day, Alice was chasing the white rabbit, who was late, as usual, when zoom, she tumbled down a rabbit hole into Circuit Wonderland. What is this madness? Alice cried, as sparks flew and relays click-clacked like the Queen of Hearts flamingo croquet mallets. The Transformer Tea Party. Alice found the Mad Hatter and March Hare sitting at a wobbly table, shoving eat-me cupcakes into a giant transformer. "We're stepping down voltage, darling," the Hatter cackled. 480V in, 24V out, just like my hat sizes. The Dormouse snoozed inside a wire coil, snoring tiny lightning bolts. ZZZZZT. The Cheshire Cat's polarity problem. The Cheshire Cat appeared, but only half of him. AC current made me flip-flop, he giggled, his tail tied in a knot. Am I positive? Negative. Who knows? Alice poked him. Pow. A static shock made her hair stand up like the caterpillar's smoke rings. Relays and the Tweedle twins, Tweedledee and Tweedledum, were arguing over a relay. Normally open, yelled Dee. Normally closed, screamed Dum. Off with their heads, roared the Queen of Hearts, but the king just shrugged. It's just a switch, dear. The Griffins ground loop. The Mock Turtle and Griffin danced in a circle, singing, round and round the current goes, if the loop breaks, there it goes. Suddenly, all the lights flickered. Uh-oh. The Duchess Pepper Sneeze blew a fuse. The playing cards wild wiring. The Ace of Spades tried wiring a controller backward. Pop. His mustache curled like burnt bacon. I'm a fried component, he cried, as the Knave of Hearts stole his voltmeter. Alice saves the day, sort of. Alice grabbed a magic mushroom, for resizing, and a drink me potion labeled 24V AC only. She took a sip glug. And grew tall enough to rewire the Mad Hatter's broken watch, which was really a circuit breaker. Click. The power returned. The White Rabbit cheered, the Cheshire Cat reappeared, still backwards, and the Queen ordered a celebration croquet with live wires. The end? Or just a short circuit? Moral of the story: always check your voltage, or Wonderland gets chaos level 10. P.S. If you see the Jabberwock, don't let him near the breaker box.